Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a live recording of a 50-minute full body flow. So find a little bit of space to move and let's get started. So let's start sitting down today. I'm not going to use any props myself, but make your way into a nice comfy seat. And let's start with our fingers. You can take your palms, turn them to face forwards. You can spread your fingers out wide. Maybe give them a bit of a wiggle. Maybe start to spread them wider. And then if you can bring your fingertips to the ground, you can also sit on your knees or however you need to sit to bring your fingertips to the ground. Maybe even one hand at a time is a little bit nicer. But send your thumbs out wide too. Maybe take a bit of a pulse or just hold it here. Lengthen each and every finger. And if you can keep your hands on the ground or your fingertips, maybe you can bring a touch more length into your spine. Maybe you can even close your eyes. And just start to let go of your day so far. Feel that stretch through your hand. You start to soften throughout your forehead. Soften throughout your jaw. You happen to be doing one hand, you could switch sides. If you're doing both and you're good to stay longer here, you can do that. You could also take a break if you wanted to. Just allow your shoulders to fall away from your ears. Beginning to notice the breath, but no need to change anything just yet. Notice how each and every finger feels. Your palms, maybe even into the wrists, forearms, if you're lucky. And then we are just going to stay seated for a little bit longer, but I want you to lift your hands back up off the ground. Turn your palms to face down. You might rest them in your lap or on your knees. Just let your hands completely relax. Let your fingers curl. If they want to curl, maybe your palms can just kind of rest right on top of the knee. Let's bring a touch more length into the spine, though. Breathing softly. Letting yourself settle into the practice. And then stay here as you're seated, maybe on the stiller side of things. But let's start to breathe a little bit deeper. So with a slow, deep inhale, you might bring even more length into your spine. You exhale, let it all go. Take another slow, deep breath in and out. One more time, fill your body up with air and let it all go. And then you might start to lift your hands up into the air. We're going to make some fists. Maybe our thumbs can wrap kind of on the outside of the fingers. Just kind of hold the fists together a little bit. You can keep those fists and start to make some wrist circles, a few in one direction, a few in the other direction. And then you can slow down those wrist circles. And as you let your fingers go, you might just give your hands a little bit of a shake. Maybe even a little flick of the fingers against your thumbs. And then we can start to open our eyes. If you want to, feel free to keep them closed, but we are going to be moving into tabletop onto our hands and knees. So find your way over. Maybe spread the fingers a little bit wider once you get there. If you want to give your hips a bit of a sway side to side, you can add that movement in as well. But when you're ready to find downward facing dog, you can start to tuck your toes. We'll lift our knees. We're not going to stay here too long at all, but just push into your hands. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. You can start to look forwards. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, start to walk your feet all the way up to the top of your mat. Once you get there, you can inhale for a half lift, really lengthening through the spine. And an exhale to fold forwards. Use an inhale to come all the way up to standing. Reach up, maybe looking up too. And exhale as you let your arms fall down to your sides. Add a shoulder roll in if you'd like. Spread your fingers out a little wider. You might give them a bit of a wiggle if you're still feeling some sensations throughout those hands. But take a big inhale to reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale as you lift halfway up, and exhale to fold. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Reach up, maybe look up, and exhale, lower your arms to your sides. Roll your shoulders back, maybe spread your fingers wide too, and inhale to reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Take an inhale for a half lift. And exhale to fold again. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reaching up. Exhale as your arms come down. One more shoulder roll if you want it. And a nice big inhale to reach up. Exhale, let's fold forwards again. Take an inhale for a half lift. And exhale to fold. Let's plant our hands this time. Step back into downward facing dog just for a moment. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. Stay for one more inhale. And then let the exhale bring your knees down. You can lift up off of your hands. So you could stand on your knees. You could sit back on your heels if you wanted to, but I want your arms to be free and available to move. So we're just going to reach our arms up above us, and then we're going to make cactus arms. So you could spread the fingers. You can bend your elbows. If you want to take a little lift of the chest, maybe even the chin, squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit. So you could stand on the knees. You could sit on the heels. Maybe your fingers are pointing straight up. A little squeeze of those shoulder blades together, though. Put a little bit of effort into that. Maybe you're looking up. Relax your face. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to bring our hands all the way to the ground, back into our tabletop. So adjust if you need to adjust. Set up your tabletop. Spread the fingers wide. Tuck your toes and lift into downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath in. Deep breath out, maybe a pedal of the feet even. Use another inhale to look forwards and exhale to walk your feet to the top of your mat. Inhale for a half lift once you get there. Exhale to fold forwards. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reaching up, standing tall. You can start to make your cactus arms. Spread the fingers wide, bend your elbows, and then maybe take a little lift of the chest as you squeeze your shoulder blades together a little bit. Push into your feet, even squeeze your glutes a little bit too. Relax your forehead. Really active through the arms though, and the back, even the legs. Take another inhale. As you exhale, we're going to relax and start to fold all the way forwards. Take an inhale to lift halfway up. Exhale to fold forwards. We're going to plant our hands, step on back into your downward facing dog again. Let's take just one deep inhale. As you exhale, lower your knees again. Decide if you want to sit on your heels or stand on your knees, but lift your hands up. Start to reach your arms up and then make your cactus arms. Not here as long, but spread the fingers, squeeze the shoulders, maybe a little look up above you. One more inhale, and then an exhale to relax. Bring your hands to the ground, set up your tabletop, tuck your toes, lift your knees, downward facing dog. With an inhale, start to look forward. Exhale, walk up to the top of your mat. Once you get there, inhale for a half lift and exhale to fold down. Inhale all the way up to standing, reach up. One more cactus arm here if you'd like it. Bend the elbows, a little squeeze of the shoulder blades, spread the fingers, maybe a peek up above. Just another inhale though. And then as you exhale, relax a little and start to tip forwards. Inhale, half lift, and exhale to fold. Plant your hands, step on back into your downward facing dog. We're going to stay a little bit longer here now. So if you do want to move a little bit more, you can, or you can be still. But can we breathe a little bit deeper and push the ground away? And start to feel the body a little bit more. Feel the breath a little bit more. Let your day go a lot more. Take one more inhale. You can start to look forwards again. As you exhale, walk up to the top of your mats. Once you get there, inhaling for a half lift. And exhale to fold forwards. Inhale to come all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, let your arms come all the way down to your sides this time. So we're going to step our left foot back. Facing forward still, but stagger the feet, our pyramid stance. So we're going to stay long through the spine here for a moment. Our hands could be on our hips. Push into your feet. You can stay standing tall. You can start to tip forwards a little bit if you want to. Push into both of your feet. Feel a stretch through the legs. Maybe you get halfway. Maybe you go even further than that. But just one more breath here. And if you are folding forwards, you can use an inhale to lift back up to standing. We're going to do that again, a tip forwards. But if we did want to stand maybe on just our right foot, we could get a little lighter through the left foot and still try to tip forwards. So you could keep your left big toe down. Or you can float it. You could find a full warrior 3, but move slow. Let the chest just tip forwards. Push into whatever foot or feet are on the ground. Not enough time to think about anything. Just use an inhale to start to come back, to stand tall, to bringing your left foot to the ground again. If you did lift it, so that whole foot, drop the heel. Reset your pyramid stance so that we're back where we started. Facing forwards, both feet on the ground. Now your hands could be on your hips again. We're going to tip forwards one more time. Maybe halfway, maybe not quite that far. Let's engage our core more, even the back. Let your core hold your body, your upper body up, as well as pushing into the feet so that maybe your arms are free to just dangle or move. You could make your cactus arms. You could bring your hands out, maybe beside your head. Spread your fingers wide. Push into those feet. Use your back and your core to keep your spine nice and long. And then use an inhale just to lift right back up to standing. Your arms could relax to your sides again. You can take your back foot to the top, maybe give the legs a little bit of a shake. We're not going to switch sides just yet. So go ahead and roll your shoulders back and down. Spread your fingers out wide again and take a big inhale to reach up. As you exhale, let's fold slowly forwards all the way down. Take an inhale for a half lift And exhale to fold. We're going to plant our hands, step all the way back into downward facing dog, and just stay for a few breaths. If you want to bring your knees down, you can bring your knees down. If you want to stay in downward dog, though, push the ground away. Breathe a little bit deeper. And then using a nice big inhale, let's look forwards to our hands again. Exhale to walk all the way up to the top of the mat. Inhaling into a half lift once you get there. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, let your arms come all the way down to your sides. You can start to step your right foot back, facing forwards, but as wide as you want your feet to be. Hands to the hips to start. Lengthen your spine. Feel free to stay standing tall, or take a little tip forwards, or a big tip forwards, but just notice your feet. Can you continue to push into both feet? Feel a little length, a little stretch through the legs. Go as far as you want to go, as your body allows you to go. And then letting an inhale bring you back up. You can do the exact same thing again, or you can get lighter through your back foot this time. The big toe, or maybe all 5 toes, don't actually have to leave the ground, but take your time. If you do want to tip, that left glute might feel a whole lot more love. If you're getting lighter, or if you're lifting your back foot, you can find your warrior 3 or something like it. Breathe. And if you are tipping forwards, just letting an inhale bring you all the way back up to standing. And if you need to bring that back foot all the way to the ground again, just adjust your stance so that you're balanced. Reset. Hands could find the hips again. Lengthen through the spine again. And then maybe we're going to tip forwards for the 3rd time. One last time. Push into the feet. Wake up the body a bit more so that maybe your arms can move a little. Not needed perhaps to hold your upper body in any way, but maybe they do want to help. You could find your cactus arms, push into the feet. Maybe spread your fingers wide, squeeze your belly in, squeeze your back. Awesome work, you guys. Take an inhale to find your way all the way back up to standing. Arms can come to the sides. Your back foot can come to the top of the mat too. Give your legs a little shake if you'd like. Shoulder roll as well if you want one. Take an inhale to reach up. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale as you lift halfway up. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, step back all the way into your downward facing dog, except this time we're just going to take one deep breath in and exhale, lower your knees down. Tabletop. Our hands are going to stay on the ground though. So spread your fingers wide, maybe give the hips a bit of a sway side to side. And then use an inhale to drop your belly. Lift your chest. You could bend your elbows as you start to look forwards. And then you could straighten the elbows, the arms. Let the belly go down. Arch through the back. Hold it here for a moment. Breathe. Stay for one more inhale. As you exhale, lift your belly up, round your spine, start to tuck your chin, open up between your shoulder blades. Push into your hands, try to pull your hands apart a little bit. They're not actually going to move, but how open can you get between those shoulder blades? Some effort. Squeeze the belly button in. Use an inhale to come back to a nice long spine. Bring your knees out wider, big toes together, and send your hips all the way back to your heels for child's pose. You can bring your forehead down. You can bend your elbows if you'd like. Just relax your body as best you can. Close your eyes. How's your upper back feeling between your shoulder blades? Can you relax your belly completely here? When you are feeling good to move, we'll come back onto our knees into tabletop just for another moment. If you wanted to sway your hips a few times, side to side, but just bring everything back in. Shake it out. And then we're gonna have a seat so you can cross your ankles and bring your legs out in front of you. You might start with a hug of your knees to your chest, maybe a rock side to side. Then our right leg can be going out long eventually. Your left foot can either be on your inner thigh, and you could tip forwards if you wanted to. Or if your left foot wants to be on top of your right quad, you could lean back and maybe bend your bottom leg for a seated figure four. You're leaning back. Maybe you can come up onto your fingertips or maybe on your palms, but try to push the ground away from you into your hands. You're leaning back. Feeling that left leg and glutes. Now you can stay here in the seated figure four, or if you do enjoy double pigeon, you could bend your bottom leg and bring it underneath the top leg and find a little double pigeon, maybe flexing the feet, pointing the toes straight in front, lengthening through the spine. Use your hands to support you, maybe taking a tip forwards even. So wherever you are with your legs, we're just going to come back so we're sitting tall again. Now, I'm going to go back into the seated figure four. We're just going to stay a little bit longer. You could be in full double pigeon. You could be with your more of the hamstring stretch, the forward fold. So just optional here, if you did want to try to twist, maybe turn our chest a little bit towards the right side. If you're really, really leaning back in your seated figure four, just skip this part if it's not going to work for you. Try to sit as tall as you can, even if you are in the seated figure four, or again, just have your legs out long. Maybe our chest will turn a little bit towards the right side. So use your hands. Maybe the left one will move in front of your legs, on top of your legs. Maybe it kind of hooks onto the outside of your, or the bottom of your foot. And you turn your chest towards the right side, and maybe your right hand is on the ground behind you a little or beside you, and you can push the ground away. So very quick, I want you to stay in your twist, but I'm going to run through all the options of the legs. So maybe you had your legs long and you're taking that twist. Maybe you are in, halfway in that seated figure four, but your bottom leg's still long. Twist. And then maybe that double pigeon, same thing, twist. So stay for another breath wherever you are. And then use an inhale to bring yourself out of the twist if you are in the twist. Facing forwards, get to a place where we can unwind our legs. We can regroup, reset. Maybe that's going to be a hug of the knees or a shake of the legs. But just take a second. And you can always try all of the options too. But switching sides when you're ready to do so. Left leg can be long, your right foot to the inner thigh, and maybe you're folding forwards, more hamstring. Maybe that seated figure 4, foot on top of the quad. You can keep your bottom leg bent, still get some hamstrings, still get some right hip and glutes. Maybe lean back, give the hamstring a rest, and get more glutes. Lean back a little, push the ground away a little. Maybe you're already flexing the right foot. Great place to stay. Or if double pigeon is something that you enjoy, you can try to stack those lower legs. Maybe flexing both of the feet this time, pointing the toes forwards, maybe sitting tall. Maybe you're leaning back a little, and maybe you're folding forward. Now, if you do want to go into the twist, we can start to find our way there. Feel free to skip it though, if you'd rather skip it. Lengthening through the spine as best we can. I'm going to move through all the options again, this time just starting with the double pigeon. Lengthening through the spine though, take a nice inhale. The exhale, turn your chest towards the left side a little bit. Holding your twist. Or if you're like me and you're going to try all of the options, just come out of the twist to switch the legs. Maybe that seated figure 4, the trickiest place probably to be sitting tall without the hands helping as much. But still use your left hand for sure on the ground behind you if you're able to push into it a little bit. Just another moment here if you wanted to go into that straight bottom leg. Maybe foot to the inner thigh. And then let's all use an inhale to bring the chest forwards again. And we can unwind our legs or give them a shake if you want to send them both long. If you want to hug everything in, you can do that as well. Maybe a rock side to side though. Okay, so we're going to stay seated. And we're going to try to use our hands a little bit less. So maybe that means you're going to sit cross-legged. Maybe that means you could keep your legs long in front of you. Maybe the knees can be bent, lengthening through the spine. Maybe it's better to have the legs straight. You could come into butterfly, decide what you want to do with your legs. I think that it's a little trickier to keep the spine really long without the hands, with the knees bent and maybe a little tip back, but still long spine. So you can kind of decide maybe where you feel your core turn on without the hands, maybe. And then if our hands happen to be free and available to move, we're gonna half boat here maybe. We could find those cactus arms. And then I want you to try and squeeze your shoulder blades together. A little squeeze of the back. The further you lean back, the more you might feel everything, but that's up to you. You can keep your spine nice and long. You could also be here, cross-legged, spreading the fingers wide, pointing the fingertips up, and really squeezing the shoulder blades together. And of course, relax your forehead. Awesome, guys. Take another breath, feel that effort, feel that work, and then just start to relax again. Relax your arms to your sides, maybe a little lean forward just to hug your knees. A rock side to side. Now, before we lay all the way down on our backs, I'm actually going to get us all to come over into tabletop again. So come onto your hands and knees. Spread your fingers. Maybe give the hips a little bit of a sway side to side. And then we're just going to take a moment to drop the belly, arch the back, just one inhale. And then exhale to round the spine, and we're going to hold it here now. So hold it here. Try to create that space between the shoulder blades. Tuck the chin. Push into the hands. Squeeze the belly. Just try to create that space between your shoulder blades. Effort. Nice work, you guys. Letting an inhale relax you, kind of bring you back to just a nice long spine. Maybe a sway of the hips, but you could also start to open the knees out wide again and come back into child's pose, or you can stay in tabletop. Relax down if you'd like. If you can rest your forehead on something, do that. And then just take a moment to notice how your upper back feels between those shoulder blades. Softening throughout the body as best you can. And then really softening your belly. Expand your belly with the next inhale you take. Keep your belly soft as you exhale too. When you are feeling ready to move again, we are going to be meeting on our backs, but if you want to take just a little bit of time to get there, you're going to come back onto your knees. Now you could sit on the heels again, or you could stand on your knees, but just freeing up your arms, lifting your hands up. Make your fists, wrap your thumbs around your fists, and take a few wrist circles. Do a few in one direction, keeping those fists and making those circles as big, as smooth as they can be. And then you can switch directions. And then as we let that go, you might flick your fingers against your thumbs just a little bit. And if you're still not quite ready to lay down, you can stay a little longer. If you are ready to find your way onto your back, let's meet there. You can keep your feet on the ground or lift them and hug your knees to your chest. Maybe give your knees a hug, a squeeze, maybe take a rock side to side. Now you can either keep your feet on the ground or keep your feet floating, but we'll keep our knees bent. So if you're able to let go of your knees, if you're holding them and let them be where they want to be without using your hands to hold them, we're going to be bringing our hands to the ground beside us with our palms facing down. Now you can have your hands stay by the hips. You could slide your hands under your hips, maybe one at a time, palms facing down. And maybe just rest your hands under your tailbone, under your hips a little bit. That might help you keep your knees kind of closer to the chest without actually holding onto them. Now, if you feel good here, you can just stay here. If you wanted to move your hands a little further up your back, you can always have your feet on the ground. But you could also try to do that with a little rock side to side, and maybe the feet stay lifted, and just bring the hands a little further up to the middle of your back. Now that's going to arch your back a little bit. So it's a baby, kind of a baby back bend a little, but keeping the palms facing down, even the fingers spread wide. Now our elbows are kind of pointing out to the side. Anytime you can bring your feet to the ground. Now we're going to be kind of swaying the knees side to side. You don't like your hands underneath your back or your hips, you can take them out. You could hold your knees. You could have your arms at your sides, just free, not underneath you. Remember, your feet can be on the ground. They can be floating, but you might be swaying the knees a little bit side to side. Then we, of course, are going to be letting our knees tip all the way over towards the left side. Now, if you have your hands underneath your back, go very slow to make sure everything is happy and that you want to keep them where they are, because you can find a twist with your arms at your sides, reaching out wide, not tucked underneath you. Let your knees tip, tip, tip. And then you might notice that your right hand has become free. It's not under your back anymore. If you did twist quite a bit through the hips, but you could just keep your hand where it is. Now you might be feeling your left shoulder a lot more. So it's just optional to keep that hand tucked underneath you. And we will be coming out of this and taking a moment to regroup. So you can always bring the hands or the arms out. You can come back up, maybe without the help of your feet or your hands, but just come back to where you started. And if you need to start from the beginning with your hands at your sides and maybe ending up under your low back, maybe moving to the mid back. Maybe a little sway side to side with the knees, whether your feet are on the ground or lifted. If you do have your hands tucked under you, though, all I ask is your palms face down, if possible. Spread your fingers wide too. Eventually, our knees are going to be tipping to the right side. So you can use your arms. You can not use your arms. Go very, very slow, though, especially if you've got your hands tucked underneath your back. Check in with your right elbow and shoulder and everything to make sure it's happy. Adjust if you'd like to adjust. Find your twist that feels right for you. Now, as we become ready to come out of this, do what you gotta do to bring your legs back up, to end up flat on your back again. If you happen to still have your hands underneath you, we can take them out finally. And you might give your fingers a little bit of a wiggle. You might make your fists even and take your wrist circles. Your feet can find the ground at any time or stay floating. If you're doing some wrist circles though, switch direction. How smooth and big can you make those circles? Lastly, maybe a flick of the fingers. Maybe you can feel that flick all the way through your forearms. Maybe all the way through your elbows to your shoulders. A strong flick against your thumb. You can let that go. You can relax your hands. Maybe give them one last little shake. And then if you do still have your feet lifted up into the air, we can bring them down. An option here would be to make a diamond shape with your legs. Now, if you did have your hands kind of under your back for our twist today, we're kind of arching the back a little bit there. So it might feel better to bring the feet wide and the knees tip together a little bit. A little press of the low back into the ground, whether you'd like to make a diamond shape or the opposite, knees together, feet wide. Just rest your arms, your hands wherever you would like. Let your eyes close. Feel the entire length of your spine against the ground. And if you wanted to adjust your legs at all, you can. The little press of the low back into the ground, though. And then maybe we can turn our chin over towards our left shoulder. You might lift your head to turn it a little more. Maybe it's more your ear, almost your cheek. It's getting close to the ground, or towards your chin, or towards your shoulder. Letting an inhale roll your chin, turn your head all the way back up, and then over towards the right side. Maybe lift your head just to turn a little more, maybe not. A gentle press of your low back into the ground again. Maybe feel your belly moving gently. Now let's use an inhale again, just to roll the head back. You're making a diamond shape. You can bring your knees together. If you have your knees together already, you might open them up a little wider. But just find a neutral place for your legs right now, where your feet are planted on the ground and your knees are bent. And maybe you'll add a little bit of a sway with the knees. Maybe you need to hug your knees all the way back to your chest again. Maybe you're also ready to send your legs out long and your feet out wide. And maybe rock your hips side to side once or twice. And move your arms again if you need to, so they're in just a nice comfy place. Finding your Shavasana. Continue to notice your breath. But let go of any effort anywhere. And slowly start to breathe a little bit deeper and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe you'll be reaching your arm above your head for a nice big stretch. Bending your knees. You can roll over. Find your way up to a comfy seat. Maybe bringing your hands together. Awesome practice, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day. And I will see you guys soon. Namaste.